morning, everybody. This is Al coming to you once again for Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. And today, folks, we're going to talk about the wildest summer in Brooklyn history. Yeah, it's the summer of 1977, the summer of the Blackout, the summer of the Son of Sam, the summer of block parties, all kinds of amazing, crazy, wild, strange, terrible stuff. And it all happened in the summer of 1977. Stay tuned for a cool retrospective. Being a lifelong New Yorker, I'd have to say one of the most memorable summers, or the most memorable summer of my entire life, was the one in 1977. I mean, there was so many things that happened that year, namely the blackout of 1977. Now, where were you during the blackout of 1977? July 13th, 1977, when that lightning struck the power grid in, I think it was Westchester, when all the lights went out in New York City and Brooklyn and Queens and all the places for 25 straight hours. There was mass looting. So I got some stories to tell you. So where was I during the blackout of 1977? My parents and I were at Shea Stadium in New York. We're lifelong Met fans. We're sitting at Shea Stadium, and the most unbelievable thing happens. Lenny Randle is up at the plate. He hits a ball to second base. While the ball is rolling, the lights go out. So we're just sitting there. If anybody remembers Jane Jarvis, back in the day, you didn't have what you have today with all the digital media. You had usually you had these roller ring type pipe organs, and the lady who played for the Mets was a lady named Jane Jarvis. And for those of you who are Met fans, those of you who know, she was a staple in New York, and she played, I think it was close to 20 years. And so the lights went out. She was playing the song. I don't know what she was playing. Lenny Randle, actually, when he hit the ball, the lights went out, and he actually got onto first base. He was credited with a base hit. Now, the Mets had an amazing roster that year. They still had a lot of the guys left from the World Series of '69. They still had a lot of people from '73 when they lost in the World Series. We're talking about Tom Seaver, John Matlack, Jerry Koosman, Dave Kingman, Jerry Grody, all these amazing guys that were still around. So the lights went out, and all that was left in the stadium were the little emergency lights over each doorway. And no one really thought anything of it. I mean, Jane Jarvis was playing. It was a summer night. We were eating our hot dogs. And then all of a sudden, from the section that we were in, which was right behind third base, somebody said, "Hey, look, all the lights are out in New York. And the number 7 train is stopped right there on the platform, because the 7 trains ride right behind the stadium." And we were like, holy cow. So we all looked around. No one really knew what to think. And then all of a sudden, there was a service announcement from the guy who did all the PA announcements. And he said something like, New York City has experienced a major blackout. Please depart from the nearest exit safely, blah, blah, blah. So we left. And, folks, as a kid, I was 12 years old. I mean, I think my mom and my dad were kind of terrified. My dad, had a shop in New York City, had that shop for 75 years. He was worried that something would happen, My mom was nervous to drive home, but it was the most incredible thing, because as a kid of 12 years old, it was so exciting. I mean, we left. The only lights that were on the highway, of course, were the headlights. So, we left Shea Stadium, and we were driving home, and, there was nothing on but the headlights. And sounds like a song. I think that is a song. But so because of the darkness and all that and the confusion, there's a lot of bridges in New York. So we would take, we live right near Prospect Park. We would take the BQE home over to Kosciuszko Bridge. Big shout out to Kosciuszko Bridge and everywhere in New York, of course. So my mom, by accident, went over, I think it's the Williamsburg Bridge. So she went over that bridge by mistake, and my dad starts going crazy, and my mom starts yelling, "What do you think? This is a kiddie car? What's going on here? Well, you think it's easy? What the heck? Just shut up, So I'm there laughing, because, they got along to a point, But it was, I'm there hysterical. We have the radio on as we're going. They're talking about what's going on, and they're talking about mass looting in Brooklyn and all around the city. So, of course, my mom takes the wrong bridge. We drive over into Manhattan. My father decides, hey, I want to go visit my shop, which is on the 5th floor, make sure nobody looted it or nothing. And so we drive through Lower Manhattan. Now, I don't want this to sound like a joke, because I was a store owner for 25 years, and don't get the wrong idea that I'm glorifying this or anything like that. but I'm just looking at this from a 12-year-old's perspective. And so we're driving through the streets, and it was like what happened in Vacation when Chevy Chase goes, roll them up. We were driving along, and I kid you not, there were guys walking with refrigerators, boom boxes, stereo equipment, guitars, amplifiers. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it in my life. I mean, these poor people who own these stores were like wiped out. But I mean, we had to actually stop the car. There were guys walking, you gotta remember, this is 1977. These things weren't small. We stopped the car. These guys walked by with like a cabinet television set. There was 3 guys carrying it. Then there was 2 guys carrying a refrigerator. We were just standing there with our jaws dropped. So anyway, so we made it home, and my father's shop wasn't looted. We got home, and thank God in our part of Brooklyn, there wasn't really a lot of looting. I don't think there was really any that I could really think of. I think there was a lot of looting over in Sunset Park and some of the other parts of Brooklyn, but Park Slope or on Fifth Avenue, if there was some, it was minimal. But we got home, and of course everybody was out there, and as kids we just loved that we went out. We were driving our bikes in the street. It was just a very memorable, cool time, and just amazing. So while all that was going on, this was also the summer, if you guys remember, of the Son of Sam. Now again, not to glorify this at all, the Son of Sam actually, I think he murdered, 7 or 8 people, and he was responsible for wounding 10 people, including stabbing 1 person. He was a postal worker, and he would, if you guys remember, he would leave notes after he committed these crimes, and thank God eventually he was caught. Believe it or not, I don't know what it is with these crazy guys who were serial killers, but they seem to be horrible drivers. Ted Bundy, the same thing. Well, Berkowitz was caught because he parked his car after one of these killings. I think it was the Moskowitz one, and somebody noticed a guy walking by, and someone had ticketed his car. And when the lady reported it 4 days later, the police looked back on all the tickets that they gave that night, and through a lot of good police work, they traced it back to a Yonkers apartment, and they ended up arresting this guy. But it was a wild summer, folks. I mean, I remember my mom was running block parties. I grew up on Prospect Avenue between 10th and 11th Avenue, and my mom, who was usually really a quiet person, she just decided that the kids needed like a break. They needed like some kind of release, and she decided that we were going to do block parties. And I was my mom's kind of right-hand man, and I was like her. It was like Dastardly and Muttley or something like that. And we went down for the permits, and the first block party went so well, we actually did 2 more after that. And it was a wild summer because these block parties happened like before and after the blackout. Berkowitz was caught on August 10th. So all of this was going on. It was just a wild, wild summer. I also remember that was the first summer that I ever went to Spumoni Gardens. And yes, I did change my shirt. Yes, it was the discovery of Spumoni Gardens. The first time I ever ate in Spumoni Gardens, which is the best pizzeria in all of Brooklyn. Folks, if you're not from Brooklyn and you've never tried it, you ever go to Brooklyn, you have to try it. It is just amazing. It's an outdoor courtyard. Brooklynites love to fight over what the best pizzeria is, but if you made a list of the top 5 pizzerias, and there's a lot of pizzerias in Brooklyn, there's probably 50 pizzerias named Joe's alone. If you made a list of the top 5 pizzerias in all of Brooklyn, I guarantee you, every person in Brooklyn will put L&B Spumoni Gardens on that list. Anthony Bourdain has gone there, and Adam Richman, who's from Brooklyn, has gone there. I mean, just the fact that they've gone there doesn't mean anything, but trust me, the pizza is amazing. It is totally amazing. I'll throw a picture of it up there. But also, that was what I discovered in the year of 1977, and I've loved it ever since. Another crazy thing that happened over in the summer of '77 was Elvis Presley passed away. The singer who was the king of rock and roll died in his house. Sung his last concert, I think it was June 26th, 1977, and he ended up passing away on August 16th, 1977. So a lot of crazy things happened that summer, folks. It was just a really, really crazy summer. But it was amazing because I was 12 years old. For as many crazy things happened, there were also so many good things that happened as well. So Where were you in the summer of 1977? What were you doing? I'd love to hear from you and hear all the adventures that you had during the New York City blackout that shut the lights off for 25 hours. What were you doing? What block party were you at? Where did you live? For me, it was a wonderful summer, other than the fact that we were scared to death over the Son of Sam. But I think also later in the year, Saturday Night Fever came out. Just so many things happened that year. That was the first year, of course, of first summer of Jimmy Carter. He was elected. So who knows? So folks, I'd like to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And every time you watch, it helps our foundation, which we're going to start in about a month or so. Today is August 20th, 2020. And we're hoping to have the foundation up by September of this year. For those folks who don't usually watch my channel, we lost my son last year to suicide. He was a brilliant, amazing musician, a wonderful person. He just, I think, made a really bad choice, and sadly he didn't reach out for help when he had so many people to reach out to. But we're going to start this foundation in his honor. He was, like I said, a brilliant musician, so we're going to be giving out musical instruments to children, people, whoever can afford them. We're going to hook them up with lessons. I'm going to put the logo up there right now. And hopefully, folks, together we could stamp out this horrible situation which claims the life in America every 40 seconds. So, folks, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the next video. This is Al signing off from sunny Florida after a grave shift. So take care of yourself, folks. Hug your loved ones and tell them you love them. Take care now, folks. Bye-bye.